Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 56 of Big Brother Season 24's overnight feed recaps. And welcome to Cliff Notes. All right, another night of blowback of additional conversations resulting from Sunday's chaotic 24 hours following the reveal of Kyle's comments. And we're still dealing with it. Yesterday, we had a lot of I'll just call it Kyle's apology tour, talking to a lot of people, trying to explain things out, hash things out. And so we'll talk about all of that this evening. First of all, is a little bit of a refresher. We've got Kyle and Taylor on the block, with Kyle in almost 100% certainty to be heading home or heading to the jury house on Thursday. Although Terrence, and to a lesser degree Turner, continue to pitch to keep him. It's not going to work. I just don't see it working, but they continue to at least talk about it, investigate the possibilities of it. Kyle's going to jury house on Thursday. All right. So let's talk about some of the conversations that happened. One quick one to talk about before we actually get to the live feeds. This is a little bit earlier in the day. Kyle and Alyssa met earlier in the day. They're no longer an item, or are they? Well, we'll talk about that as well. But Kyle and Alyssa met earlier in the day. They had a heart to heart. They ended up breaking up. Lots of crying, lots of uncertainty from both of them on how to talk about everything that had happened, uncertainty about how to proceed. There was a little bit of talk about, yeah, maybe, somewhere down the road, things can change and all of that. But eventually Alyssa suggests, look, I just can't see having babies with you right now. Quite the leap from a showman to having the babies. But she says, I just don't see it happening. I don't think that you need to have a relationship as you're walking out the door. So we're calling it. So Alyssa and Kyle have broken up. Now, her reasoning while she was talking to Kyle really didn't seem to be based on any the reveal of these comments that he had made a couple of weeks ago and all that. Now, it has a lot more to do with her saying that, I always stood by you, but I just don't really feel that you stood by me, except for that one time that you didn't use a veto, but you just weren't really there for me, Kyle, as much as I need a man to be. And therefore, it is what it is. So Kyle and Alyssa are no longer an item for the next 10 hours. So we do have that. Now, some more serious conversations than that. Getting into the live feeds themselves, the evening feed and late afternoon feeds. Kyle is talking to Taylor late afternoon, I think. Kyle's apologizing, lots of tears. Kyle's apologizing, saying, look, I shouldn't have made those snap judgments I did. I was wrong to make them. Taylor is then responding back, talking about Kyle's fears of a new cookout. She's saying that she can't ever excuse it, but she can also kind of see how he got there to that assumption or that scenario. And she's saying that she will always be there for him. Now, I'm tightening this down a lot because there are a lot of conversations. A lot of these conversations were fairly long and all that, but that's the crux of it. Is basically he apologizes. She says she understands. She doesn't excuse, but they're good going forward, and that she's always going to be there for him. So we've got that. A little bit later, Hal's talking to Monte, more crying, more apologizing. Apologizing from Kyle, crying from both of them a little bit. Monte is also kind of reiterating a little bit what Taylor said, that he can see how Kyle maybe could have started developing that conclusion or that opinion about the possibility of a second cookout, assuming that something like that may exist. But Monte's saying that there wasn't evidence to back it up, that anything like that was happening. And that's what bothers me a little bit. He's saying that he does not hate Kyle. He just hates the thought process that Kyle had leading up to that opinion, that scenario. Monte does mention, we'll talk about this again in a second. Monte does mention some confrontation that happened in the have not room after Michael and Brittany had revealed all of this stuff, where he said Kyle was very defensive about the comments. And Monte's saying it's not so much the original, it's when you try to defend it and deflect and everything else. And that's what bothers me more than anything else. So, there was a little confrontation apparently at some point on Sunday that we didn't get to see on the live feed. But Monte also leads to that, talking about really and crying. And we saw this with him talking about the same issue with Taylor earlier. crying about his brother, younger brother, who apparently had to deal with quite a bit of racism while he was in the Coast Guard. And so Monty's saying how helpless you feel when you see it happening, you can't do anything about it. So there was certainly a heart to heart going on with these two as they talked through some of the issues. But at the end of it, Monty also tells Kyle, says, "Look, we're good. You kind of took ownership. You came clean. You've explained. You've apologized. We're good, guy." So they've as much as possible, they've got it taken care of as well. All right, we got Turner and Terrence talking in the car bedroom. Turner is saying, uh, actually, some game talk, some strategic stuff going on. Turner is telling Terrence that he's been promised 1 week of safety for doing what he did, which was putting Kyle up, even though they were final two, which Turner hated to have disclosed. But he put Kyle up and he's saying, "Look, I've been told by everyone that I've got 1 week of safety." And Terrence is saying, "Yeah, I think you're good." Uh, but he says he's still going to feel bad when Kyle leaves. Just that they were tight, they worked together, and so yeah, he understands what happened, why it needs to happen, etc. But he's still going to feel bad about it. Terrence understands completely. Eventually, Alyssa comes into the room also. So these are the remains of the insiders. That sounds horrible. These are the insiders that are left. These three. We'll see what happens going forward. Alyssa and Terrence certainly huge targets next week. Turner has safety. Otherwise, I think Turner could easily be a target as well. Unfortunately for these three, I think they're on the short end in terms of the next few weeks in terms of what happens. They need some HOH and some veto wins if they're going to protect their game. I think the three of them in the car bedroom talking a little bit. Terrence is talking about taking it back to Kyle, saying, "Look, everyone in this room cares about Kyle." He's saying, "I'm glad all of this happened now, later in the game. If it happened earlier in the season, there are some people that were in the house then. This could have been really horrific and bad." And he says, "But all of us in here, and I think he's talking about just not even in this room, but in the house." He says, we're here. We'll get it taken care of." So they've got that. All right, we've got Kyle and Michael and Brittany and Taylor all in the backyard around the hammock talking a little bit more, rehashing some of the things that have been said before. Kyle, mainly it's Kyle and Brittany that seem to be involved in this conversation. But they're talking about Kyle's lack of experience in the past, where he grew up. He just didn't have a lot of exposure to a lot of different people and everything, and he just hasn't. They talk about exercising your muscles, your mental muscles, and such. So they're talking a lot about that. Brittany's mentioning that she grew up kind of sheltered and had to grow as she got older as well. So yeah, they're talking about that. One of the things that I do think was very pertinent is they're all agreeing that conversations are an important first step in everyone growing and learning, and I absolutely agree with that. Gotta have the conversations, and we certainly had a lot of those. All right, we've got Brittany and Michael talking. This is in the Jetsons' bedroom, I think. Brittany is talking about the fact that she has played along with people and saying, "Yeah, I won't be able to win if Michael is still in the house. Yeah, we're going to have to, at some point he can't make it to final two." Well, play along as much as you want, Brittany, but all of that is true. Michael's going to win if he makes it to the final two, especially up against Brittany, right? But she's saying, "I'm just playing along with it." Of course, it's not true, Michael. Is it? I kind of season 16. Would Brittany take Michael to the final two if it was her choice to make? Would she do that? She has to realize that her odds of beating Michael in front of a jury would be horrific, right? You would think, right? But would she do that versus taking, I don't know, Taylor? I don't know who Brittany beats in a final two. She better hope Terrence is still around, because other than that, it's going to be difficult for Brittany. But he's saying, "Yeah, I'm saying that, Michael, but it's not true. You and I, we're like this to the very end. So you don't have to worry about that." But she does say that she's very worried now that they know that all the outsiders and Monty as well were gunning for Michael this week, that he was the target. Well, that's the way it's going to be from this point on, given the number of comp wins that Michael has had. Brittany is mentioning Monty specifically, saying that Monty wanted you out, that he really wants you out, and then to have a final three with me and Taylor. But Michael, you're on Monty's target list as well as everyone else. And they're realizing that in order to make it to the end, they really need to win out the rest of this season. Yeah, you get to the end, there's not a lot of targets left other than yourself. So they're absolutely right on that. Brittany is saying that the only other person besides Michael that she actually trusts in this game is Taylor. She doesn't think Taylor would put Michael up if she had the option. But she also says that if Michael was on the block, Taylor probably wouldn't go out of her way necessarily save Michael. So she's kind of a fair weather final three for the two of them as well. All right, we've got Monty and Turner talking. Monty's saying that everything that has happened, especially since Sunday and all that, that everything that has happened is really making him question everything and everyone in the house. Welcome to Big Brother, Monty. Yes, Indy, I understand the feeling. It's hard. You don't know who to believe. You don't know who to trust. You don't know what kind of people are plotting all kinds of crazy things behind your back. So he's talking about that. Turner is saying that, look, based on what everyone's told me, I fully expect that we're both safe next week. And Monty's saying, yeah, no, they've told me the same thing, Taylor, in private, that you're good, that I should be good as well. I think we'll be good for next week. And then they're saying after next week, then maybe win an HOH and protect ourselves. And suddenly now you're 2 weeks later, and now there's only 4 or 5 of us left, and you're at the very end of it. They're picturing that light at the very end of the tunnel at this point. There is talk about this final four consisting of Monty and Taylor and Brittany and Michael. Monty's questioning that, saying, why would they ever think that I would be okay with that final four, knowing that I'm at the very bottom and that I'm the first one to go if we get to that point and any of them have a say on it? Why would they think that I'm okay with that? But he's been playing along with it. They are wondering as well why Taylor wasn't more suspicious of Michael and Brittany's timing in revealing Kyle's comments. Well, it's because she was on the block and she was a target, and she would have gone home this week if it wasn't for the comment. You don't worry so much about the motivation when it's benefiting you sometimes in the house, right? I think that's why she wasn't so concerned about the timing. But they are mentioning the fact that Taylor just isn't seeing the red flags in terms of Michael and Brittany. That she doesn't understand that Michael and Brittany are as tight as they are, and she's just believing them too much. Monty's saying he wants to spend more time with her. Maybe she's only heard she spent so much time with Michael and Brittany that she's kind of bought into some of what they've said. So he's going to try to spend more time with her and make sure that she kind of sees the light. All right, we've got Terrence. The bugs are still bad outside. Terrence has gone through, it's got to be a whole can of Raid, because he has sprayed down every single surface on every piece of patio furniture back in the corner of their backyard. Is that safe? I don't know. I guess we'll see in a couple of weeks after they've been sitting there for a while. But Terrence is certainly on bug patrol last night. All right, we've got Monty and Taylor in the bathroom talking. Monty's just talking more about Kyle and this scenario of the Cookout 2.0 and all that. Monty's saying, look, this season, I just wanted to have the best person to play, the best person to win the game. He said, I didn't want to form another cookout. I wanted to come in, have a utopia of all of us different people playing. Whoever the best one is wins the game. I didn't want that. He's rehashing the conversation that he had with Kyle. Taylor's rehashing the conversation that she had as well. And she's saying, look, Kyle took ownership at the end of it. She's saying Brittany talked to him ahead of time and kind of explained that he needed to know, what he was sorry for and what he was going to do to move forward. And she says, so he already was aware of a lot of it. He took ownership, so I'm good. She's saying that she knows that people out here in the real world probably want her to get angry at Kyle and all that. But she's saying, I don't have the energy for it. I'm not going to do that. She is glad that she gets a speech at eviction night, so she kind of gets the final say before the vote takes place. She thinks that's important. She says if she'd been pulled off the block and it was Brittany up there, Brittany would have given the speech, and she just didn't like the optics. I'm not sure she used that word, but she didn't like this, the look of it being a white savior at the end. Those are her words. A white savior that kind of gets the final say in this whole deal. That she likes the fact that she's going to get to talk at eviction night and kind of put things in perspective, give her position, etc. All right, we've got Michael and Taylor talking. Now, I mentioned earlier Monty and Kyle talking that there had been some kind of a discussion, a blow up, that Kyle got defensive. Well, we get more details here. because Michael and Taylor are talking, and Taylor's mentioning to Michael that apparently there was a huge blow up while Michael and Taylor and Turner and Alyssa were upstairs in the HOH room. I assume they're in the HOH room watching the movie on Sunday evening. She said there was a huge blow up while that happened. Apparently, it started off in the have not room. Kyle was denying everything to Monty and Terrence, saying there wasn't any racism behind it. I didn't. This didn't. I wasn't thinking this. I wasn't thinking this. Denying everything. And apparently, Monty and Terrence had said, "Look, we can't even start the conversation until you at least acknowledge what happened and all that." So there was a big blow up there. Kyle apparently being rather defensive, but then there was also a huge blow up where Kyle and Brittany got into it about what had been said, what had been revealed, and we don't know the details. None of that was on the live feeds. I don't know if we'll get it on one of the episodes tonight or tomorrow night. Not sure, but now it makes more sense why Brittany was crying when the feeds came back after 5 hours last Sunday. It's because she and Kyle had got into it about everything that occurred, everything that took place. All right, one or two more things, and we'll shut it down. First of all, a long conversation between Alyssa and Kyle while he's in bed in the golf room. He's in bed. She's sitting on the side of the bed, but that doesn't last for long. It eventually leads to them cuddling and making out. So I don't know. The breakup lasted about 10 hours or so. I think they're still officially broken up. Maybe this is just a goodbye cuddle. We'll just call it a goodbye cuddle. Right? They are talking about everything that's happened in the house between the two of them. Wondering if everyone knows that they may have been intimate on occasion. Yeah, I think everyone out here and inside is aware of that, Colin and Alyssa, but they're talking about counting how many times they may have gotten a little frisky. I feel like I'm 100 years old using that word, but they're counting the times that they had exciting adventures together. And for your information, four, according to them. I wasn't counting, but they counted four. Alyssa's saying that eventually Alyssa, the two broke up, but Alyssa says she's very turned on right now. He is as well. Start the music, I guess, because the feed's cut. And when they return after, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, Kyle is alone in bed with a rag covering his eyes. So I don't know, they probably just played rock paper scissors or something. You know, who knows what they did during that 10 minutes. But anyway, it comes back. Alyssa's gone. Kyle's resting in bed. At some point in the conversation, they do have a little conversation about wondering what would have happened if Kyle had won HOH this week. What could have happened? All the possibilities. What if Brittany had not drawn Michael's chip at the veto competition? Michael hadn't competed in the veto competition. He was on the block. He was a big target. So many things could have happened differently this week. They didn't. It is what it is. So we have that. Eventually, when the feeds come back, Kyle's there alone. In the other camera, I think we've got Turner and Taylor and Monty and Brittany talking. Turner, Taylor, Monty, Brittany, and Michael all in the backyard. No game talk. Sitting around doing the fat, so to speak. There's talk about previous seasons, binging the show, when they first discovered the show, what seasons they liked, what seasons they didn't like. They're talking about Muffingate. They're talking about Daniel. They're talking about Vera and Jasmine, all just kind of rehashing the season as people tend to do when you're out in the middle of everything. They are talking about Julie Chen and wondering how she's going to handle Kyle, how Kyle's going to be handled when he leaves the house on Thursday. And they're thinking that maybe it won't be so bad because they handled so much of it in the house because Kyle has kind of gone around and talked to everyone, so it's not going to be something like season 15 where Aaron was just kind of launched upon when she got out of the house. But because everyone's aware, they think it'll be handled a little bit a little softer. Talk about that. Alyssa eventually joins the group as well. Monty, I think, maybe goes to bed, but Alyssa joins the group. There's more talk about Kyle and kind of how everything happened and the vote on Thursday. Alyssa tells Taylor that she's not going home this week. Don't worry about it. You're safe. You're going to be here, Taylor. Taylor says that she knows that there's been an argument made, basically to keep Kyle, but she also knows the argument's not being made by Kyle. It's being made by others. She's talking about Terrence here without using his name, but she's aware of that. But she appreciates Alyssa telling her that. And Alyssa's saying, "Look, my mind's made up. It's not going to change. You are good, Taylor." In other words, Alyssa's made her decision. She's voting to keep Taylor. That puts a nail in the coffin. I mean, I don't think that they were going to flip Monty anyway, so it was already a done deal. But certainly with Alyssa also casting a vote to keep Taylor in house, Taylor's not going anywhere. Kyle's going to the uh, Taylor or Alyssa does say that she was bothered by Kyle saying he wouldn't have saved Alyssa if others weren't backing him up. So again, it seems to me like Alyssa, some of her considerations aren't even so much what Kyle may have said to Michael and all that, but strictly just her feeling like he hasn't really supported her game or watched out for her the way she thinks he needs to watch out. We'll see. So hot and cold between these two. You never know. But she has told Taylor that. And with that, a little more conversation takes place, but very much not non-game talk. Eventually, everyone calls it a night. I think Taylor's the last one in bed, but eventually, everyone's in bed. 5:30 or so, Big Brother time. Lights out. We got another day in the books. Tonight, I'm really curious to see what this episode is going to show. It's going to show the veto, and then who knows what else. It's going to be an action packed, I'm sure, a very dramatic episode tonight and tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. But guys, y'all have a fantastic Wednesday. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning, eviction day, to talk about what happened overnight. I'm sure there's going to still be some last minute campaigning, but eventually, even Terrence is going to understand it's not going to happen, right? Right. We'll see. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Until then, guys, y'all have a fantastic Wednesday. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.